Hello everyone, I am Mukhlisakhon Shakhidova, and in this video I will focus on one of the fast fashion industry incidents of all time, the Rana Plaza crisis and its crisis communication. The presentation will cover the following. Firstly, a brief introduction to the Bangladesh garment industry and the Rana Plaza factory will be given. After that, the crisis at Rana Plaza and the causes of the crisis will be considered. Finally, we will look at how crisis communication was handled by the owner of Rana Plaza and the Western companies. Bangladesh is well known for its garment industry, being the second largest exporter of ready-made garments. The industry constitutes 1/5 of the Bangladeshi economy and 4/5 of the country's exports. There are several advantages that attract large international brands to Bangladesh. The products are of high quality and low price. Workers are known to be efficient and quick learners, and favorable tax policies and incentives from the government have been put in place. As regards Rana Plaza was a garment factory on the outskirts of Dhaka, the capital of Bangladesh. Sohail Rana was the owner of the Rana Plaza factory. 3,500 people worked there daily making ready-made garments for Western brands. The building was overcrowded with dozens of factories producing clothes for Western brands, and the well-being and safety of the employees was constantly overlooked by the factory owners in order to meet deadlines. On April 21, 2013, the Rana Plaza building collapsed, killing 1,134 people and injuring over 2,500 others. It was one of the worst industrial accidents in the world. It took less than 90 seconds for the 8-story building to collapse and claim the lives of more than 1,000 people. Let's look at the causes of the crisis. First and foremost, substandard materials were used during the construction of the building, while building codes were blatantly disregarded. Moreover, it was built on a piece of land developed through earth filling of a pond. Besides, the structure of the building was designed to be 5 stories high, but 3 additional floors were added. The building couldn't cope up with the additional 3 stories, which were illegally added to the structure. In addition, large power generators were also placed on these floors, which were necessary because of frequent power outages, a regular feature in Bangladesh. The poorly constructed building shook ominously whenever the generators were switched on, which led to this crisis. Was the Rana Plaza collapse a man-made crisis? Why is it called a man-made crisis? Now let's answer these questions. A day before the collapse, cracks were developed in the building. The police ordered an evacuation, which means stopping activities. The branch of a private commercial bank and several other shops located on the lower floors were evacuated. However, the next morning, the owner of the building, Sohail Rana, dismissed the engineer's warning. He and the garment factory owners ordered the workers to enter the building on the morning of the fateful day. Shortly after they entered, there was a power outage and heavy generators were switched on, shaking the weakened structure. In about 15 minutes, the building came crashing down on the helpless hundreds. Therefore, this crisis was considered a man-made crisis, and Sohail Rana was considered a murder. As regards Rana Plaza crisis communication, in situations like the Rana Plaza incident, top management or on this situation the owner should come forward and address the media as that is the smarter thing to do than just hiding away and eventually getting caught. The Rana Plaza incident has gathered a lot of media interest since it was a big disaster, but there was no representative from the factory to give statement about the situation, which created further speculation. Sohel Rana was missing as soon as the collapse of the building. The Rana Plaza crisis was handled very poorly due to a lack of information, since the owner went missing and there was no structure in handling the crisis. Thus, it went worse. Since several major Western brands were sourcing from suppliers present at the Rana Plaza factory, this crisis has affected many major Western brands in the fast fashion industry. Now let's take a look at how a few Western brands handled crisis communication. H&M used excuse as a crisis communication strategy, which is chosen when a company wishes to minimize the organization's responsibility for the crisis. This was appropriate as H&M didn't source from Rana Plaza, but had a large stake in the clothing manufacturing industry in Bangladesh. They also did the right thing in continuously responding to followers' comments and concerns, and updating them on where they were in the process of signing the Fire and Safety Accord. The next one is Mango. Mango was quick to respond to the crisis, and the brand published a statement on Facebook 3 days after the collapse. However, their statement can be argued to be deflective, and the brand failed to own up to the crisis by claiming that they were only in the process of considering one of the suppliers for their business. Moreover, the brand also didn't respond to any comments from followers regarding the crisis. They failed to consistently and actively respond to stakeholders, an important factor in diminishing reputational damage. Therefore, their crisis communication strategy can be argued to have been a mix of scapegoating and excuse, when it in fact should have been full apology. The company further made a mistake when they stopped communicating with stakeholders altogether for the rest of the year, as engagement is very important both during a crisis but also to sustain a brand community. And last one is Benetton. During 2013, the brand posted 6 press releases on their web page, explaining the efforts made to provide compensation to victims and improve conditions for workers. The brand first stated that they don't buy from Rana Plaza, and then denied this, stating that they actually had one order made by New Wave Style. In addition, they didn't directly take responsibility for the crisis. Thus, their first response to the crisis was denial, and later the strategy excuse was used when they claimed that incident was the responsibility of the entire textile industry. The correct crisis communication strategy would have been full apology, as the brand was sourcing from Rana Plaza. To conclude, only H&M could handle crisis rightly, while the Rana Plaza factory, Mango, and Benetton couldn't choose the right price communication strategy. And it's the end of my presentation. Thank you so much for your attention.